Hello, every pony. Scar89 here once again with another fanfiction reading. Today, I have a very special guest with me.
Hey guys, it's Matt the Brawler here.
Woo! It's the guy who wrote the awesome Sonic adult. What was it called? It was so long ago, I can't remember what it was called.
Sonic Boom to Sonic
Sonic
Rainbow.
Rainbow. That's right. And who's also currently in development of the Kirby crossover Help from a Star, which is pretty awesome. My neck hurts today. I don't know why. Um, So I guess we'll start our reading today. We are going to be reading Fluttershy plays Slendermane. I'm not sure what to make of it, but who knows?
It's glorious, trust me.
Apparently it's glorious.
Especially the ending.
Okay, so Fluttershy plays Slendermane by Waffle Muffin.
I
Oh,
don't even.
oh yes, she does. Fluttershy plays Slendermane by Waffle Muffin. I don't even, like you said. Celestia's sun had just begun its descent toward the jagged horizon. The warm, life-giving rays had managed to penetrate through the canopy of leaves, shining into the home of a nervous young mare. "Come on, Fluttershy, it'll be fun!" Rainbow Dash exclaimed, as impatient as ever. Her prismatic mane created a blur after shadow as she zipped left and right around her friend's little desk. She folded her forelegs and hugged her chest with a pouty humph, landing with a light thud and folding her wings, seeing as the other winged mare was still adjusting herself in her seat. Fluttershy took special care of her desktop computer. It was her first and only computer, and the most expensive thing she ever bought. She followed her ritualistic steps, adjusting her monitor, her seat, giving a brief dust of her Pegasus ergonomic keyboard
Ergonomic.
ergonomic keyboard and mouse, and of course her butterfly patterned headphones.
Yay! She took pride in her high-end piece of technology. So much so that she even ignored Rainbow Dash's excessive whining to make sure things were just perfect, she proclaimed with a few keystrokes from the tip of her unfurled wings. She entered her password and was immediately greeted by a background she chose in her favorite applications waiting for her on the desktop. To this day, ever since she brought home and unpackaged her personal computer, Fluttershy had been smiling brighter than ever before. Now she could read stories, watch all sorts of things, even movies on HuffTube, which is not to be mistaken for ClockTube. She discovered that she discovered that moment. She discovered on that moment that nothing was sacred on the equestrian net.
But there was still much she could do now. Talking to her friends and playing small games was one of her favorite pastimes after a tedious day of tending to her animals. Even walking into her room seemed to give her a smile. Always chatting, always. Sorry, my dogs are barking downstairs. Always catching sight of her sleek tower and monitor by the corner of her vision, rushed with the thought of what she would write on her blog, or maybe what sort of documentary she should watch. Then came one day where a little instant message window popped up while she was on Ponybook. It was Rainbow Dash, spamming constant lines of lol 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 f shy at one you gotta check this game out. It's so weird, lol. The sun
Wicked.
yellow. Oh, wicked. Sorry. I'm not good with I'm not good with them fancy smancy young in speech today. The sun yellow Pegasi merely blinked as she usually did to the strange language of text, having to narrow her eyes and sound out what was on screen every time some pony typed to her like this. But of course, she narratively caused her naivety caused her to click the link that came with the message, ever so trustful of her friends.
She shouldn't be.
Dun dun dun.
Insert Rainbow Dash dun 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 here.
Dun dun dun.
Fortunately, she didn't. Fortunately, she didn't die of a heart attack that night, having no clue how to install games since she was afraid she might break something. But now with Rainbow Dash's kind words to guide Fluttershy, the game was installed without any problems. A new shortcut icon joined the group of Fluttershy's most beloved applications, though it was not as attractive as her other icons. No, instead of brightly colored and creative graphics, that promised her to connect the whole of Equestria and beyond, or even open a few pre-installed puzzle games. This icon was different. It was dark, gritty even for something barely the size of a Bitcoin. She noticed bizarre blank face looked an awful lot like Rarity's mannequins at the boutique, only smudged in what appeared to be a suit collar at its neck. Is this like a dress-up game? Fluttershy asked, barely above a whisper, hovering her cursor over the morbid icon. She felt a knot swell in her stomach, an omen of something bad was about to happen. It's your turn.
No, I know. Sorry, you were cutting in and out, and it was all weird. So I was kind of like, I'll just wait until he comes back and then read the next line over. Okay. No, Rainbow Jack chuckled. It's an adventure game set in a forest, kind of like the Everfree, but spookier. She shook her last words in a ghostly manner, moving her hooves outward to emphasize the sheer quality this so-called adventure game possessed. Fluttershy reluctantly pressed onto her mouse button with a soft sigh of defeat, not wanting to disappoint her excited friend, who now stood and watched over her shoulder. The screen flickered and turned black in an instant. She knew the game was loading, as it was commonly called, but even so, it was a tense few seconds. Oh, my. Just what did Rainbow Dash get me into now? She whined internally. Internally. Sorry. I do that a lot for some reason. Okay. Rainbow Dash's warm breath washed over the soft fur of Fluttershy's shoulder and cheek. Kinky. The yellow Pegasus held her breath reflexively, just wanting to feel it again and take in the sweet scent of strawberries in Rainbow Dash's. Kinky. Shy, come on, the menu screen. Rainbow nudged, snapping Fluttershy out of her strange little trance. Kinky.
I just remember
Thankfully,
this has Flutterdash undertones.
Yeah, I know. Thankfully, the scarlet hue of her yellow cheeks was hidden as she kept facing the screen, uttering a quick, right. Dismissing the strange thought, she refocused onto the black screen and its white menu options. She had learned enough already from simple pony book games that clicking start would start the game.
Oh my god, that's an alien concept to everyone. Without further ado, she clicked onto the start, which rung an ominous drum. Ominous, yes. I screw up words too. Don't worry, it's not just you.
Okay.
Ringing into an eerie ambience that hung thick as the screen faded to black again. Fluttershy squeaked, her ears flattening against her head. It was already terrifying to her. She couldn't see it, but Rainbow had a wide, sinister smile growing up on her lips. Kiki. An image of a forest at night started to become clear, followed by what appeared to be a light source that shined upon the dark forest floor. She was in control now, giving a light jolt of her mouse, discovering that it controlled the field of vision. Fluttershy was new to any sort of first pony gameplay. She knew the basic concept about how one might move ever since watching Rainbow play Battle of Planes 2. Such a violent game. Three.
But what could that be a joke on? Could that be like Call of Duty joke, maybe?
I think it's Halo.
Maybe.
It's clearly Halo.
Why don't you guys tell us, huh? Okay.
Actually, no, wait, dude, it's Half-Life. It must be Half-Life.
Nah, okay. You still have one more.
Yeah, I know. Use Wacid, Rainbow bluntly instructed, seeing as Fluttershy was flickering her field of vision aimlessly up and down.
Sorry? Fluttershy asked, not familiar with even the most basic gamer terminology. What's a WASD? WASD, Rainbow spelled out with an exasperated sigh, pressing her clumsy hoof against the key in question. Movement. Fluttershy smiled as she discovered the magic of maneuverability. I was thinking about getting Slender one day. I don't know when, but I will. Without missing a beat, she placed her wingtips deftly above the movement controls. A mere few seconds later, she was moving freely through the virtual forest. Although once her giddy smile faded, a question came to mind. This was a game, right? Um, what am I supposed to do? Fluttershy asked innocently. She knew there had to be some sort of adventuring to do in an adventure game, right? She hoped she didn't sound stupid. Rainbow Dash leant closer, pressing against Fluttershy's side and wrapping a foreleg around her neck. Kinky.
I beat you to it,
Uh,
bitch.
my dogs are fighting downstairs. Normally, the two.
What do you have to say, doggy?
Probably. Normally, the two would not mind the invasion of personal space, given the appropriate times, of course. But again, but again, Fluttershy found herself trembling, feeling her heart race in her chest like a thundering drum threatening to burst. What's
Again,
wrong with
Pinky.
me? She thought in protest to her strange feelings, albeit she didn't want her silent friend to let go. But once again, she had to be snapped back to reality with another raised voice from her dearest friend. Kinky.
Okay, that's getting old. Okay, sorry. Pay attention, Rainbow ordered, pointing out directly in front of the obscured forest that lay before Fluttershy. You need to find, clues. Yeah, they're pieces of paper stuck on landmarks. Can't miss them. Rainbow Dash stammered, struggling to conceal her giggles, threatening to blow her cover. Oh, okay. So it's like a scavenger hunt? Do the clues lead to a prize? Fluttershy moved through the dark and mysterious forest as she spoke, unaware of what awaited her. Not really sure. Never made it far enough myself. Rainbow instantly regretted saying those words, mentally face huffing with her little slip up. How do you lose? Fluttershy questioned with a slight raise of an eyebrow. She was quick to piece it together that, yes, you can lose in a lot of games. Common sense. But just how was another question. But before Fluttershy could think ahead of herself, she spotted a glowing little square in the distance and attached to a tall rock formation. She gasped in utter delight. I found one! She squeaked. She squeaked a smile. Her fur stood on end from such happiness overwhelming her. Overwhelmed that now she was more like every pony else, playing video games with her friends. Rainbow Dash was
Rainbow
just
Dash was
silent.
just silent. I decided to say that one with you. Anyway, the slow movement of the character Fluttershy controlled did not faze her. She was far too patient to be annoyed with such a trivial thing anyway. For now, she
Bullshit.
stopped before she stopped before the piece of yellow paper, scribbled on a strange drawing of a pony wearing dark clothes. She scrutinized the foolish writing that bordered the picture. He's always watching? Fluttershy watched out loud, confused by its meaning. She
Watched?
gave a set. What?
You said watched out loud.
She's always. He's always watching? Fluttershy read out loud, confused by its meaning. She gave a set of adorable eyes to her quiet friend. Is this like a riddle? Tired of Fluttershy's slow progress, Rainbow gave a roll of her magenta eyes and pressed Fluttershy's wing against her mouse button. Just pick it up! You got more to go! A tingle ran up Fluttershy's wing, traveling to her spine upon the touch. Kinky. But her
Okay, stop that.
I can't help it. But her moment of blissful closeness came to a shattering end as the ambience thundered in her ears, encased in a dreadful sound of an endless howling abyss. She gasped and brought her hooves to her mouth to keep her from yelping, still using her other limbs to control her movement. What was that? She finally managed to say over her shaking breath. The ambient was not helping her adventuring at all.
Time's running out, Flutters. Rainbow nudged at Fluttershy's back. You gotta find the other pieces of paper, she urged with her panicking, timid friend, forcing her to fight through the scary noise which she knew Fluttershy could hear right now. Reluctantly, Fluttershy pressed on, rather. Yes, she died from the game.
She passed on to the other world. That could happen. That game is kind of scary.
I don't think it'd give her a heart attack, though.
I don't think it's as scary as like say amnesia.
SCP containment breach? Okay, back to the reading.
Yes.
Reluctantly, Fluttershy pressed on, curving her direction toward the left side and walking deeper into the obscure forest. Each time she wanted to say something, her fears had her jaw stay tightly shut. doing her best to bite her bottom lip, not to
Not
bite her bottom lip too hard. The screen started to flicker and distort into static. Is this part of the game? Is something wrong with my screen? Her heart raced once again, but now due to terror. And she should before she should remove her wings and press the configuration button on her monitor, she slightly turned to the right.
a sudden howling growl of what sounded like a piano falling to its death blasted into Fluttershy's ears. She shrieked, jumping in her seat, unprepared for what stood at the far right of her screen. A tall, faceless stallion in dark clothing stood perfectly still, looking so feeble but at the same time extremely horrifying. She took in a sharp gasp, only to scream again and whip her mouse to face the opposite direction of the strange creature that had practically teleported next to her. "Run!" Rainbow Dash yelled, doing her best to sound moderately concerned and equally as frightened, when really she was trying not to crack up. "I am!" Fluttershy shot back, now despairing how slow she moved in the game. She went as far as to put an excessive amount of pressure onto the W key, praying it would somehow make her run faster. A
They're
few
not
seconds
pressure
of
sensitive.
yeah,
Not.
a few seconds of a blind run through the dark forest helped to cover a moderate amount of ground. Fluttershy's panicked breath eased slightly, curving her mouth to see if the creature was pursuing her. Thum! Ah! Run! Run! Oh, that was Fluttershy. Ah! Run! Run! Fluttershy screamed to the top of her lungs, catching sight of the horrific creature a mere few feet away. The screen blurred in its disorienting static, with a fur-raising ring that tore through her eardrums like rustled nails on a chalkboard. She was so caught up in the scare uh, that should say that she didn't even notice Rainbow's warmth completely disappearing. Tears welled up in her eyes, keeping her wings perfectly still and positioned in her gamer stance, while the rest of her body was busily hyperventilating and shaking uncontrollably.
Hyperventilating.
That's what I said.
You said laking.
Sorry. "Oh, Celestia! Rainbow! What was that? What do I do?" The sniffling, gasping Pegasi pleaded, not knowing, or now knowing better than to look behind herself in the game. She was even afraid to look behind her in reality. Oh, sure, yeah, you are. Rainbow was on the floor laughing behind Fluttershy's seat. Not just laughing, she was broken into tears of intense hilarity. Her laughter being so intense, so high pitched that not a single peep escaped from her beside a sharp inhale and exhale.
No response. Fluttershy was all alone. At least the static faded now. She felt trapped in a virtual world. Trouble in your virtual world. Sorry. She had to escape somehow. She just kept running. You know what I was referencing there, right?
Not really, because it kind of just faded out when you said it.
I said trouble in your virtual world. It's a No More Heroes 2 thing.
Oh, I've never played that game. I want to, but I haven't gotten it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Soon a building came into view, single story with open entryways. For Fluttershy, it looked like a place of hope and safety. No. She
Dun dun
ventured
dun.
in She ventured inside, darting her eyes around as she remained alert. Every corner she came to was approached with utmost care, creeping into various empty rooms which racked at her nerves further. She held her breath as she glided her mouse in a smooth, slow curve to turn her character around, having no choice but to turn around. Nothing. Another stretch down the white tiled corridor had her end up in another empty room, though this one had a chair on the far right corner with another one, she gasped, racing toward the worn out yellow paper. A flick of her left wing and another clue had been collected. A sense of relief waved over her whole body, slouching in her seat with a heavy sigh, helping to empty her lungs the whole before an easier breath was rewarded to her efforts. Sky, it's your turn.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you wanted to read one more. Okay. Okay, she finally muttered. "So we run away from the monster, and then we find the papers. I get it now. And as long as we get the papers, we'll be safe," Fluttershy told herself, feeling reassured with her own assumptions on the mechanics of the game she had been forced to play. Forgetting that Rainbow Dash was even in the same room as her, she turned and ventured out to the room and onto the eerie white corridors. Confidently and determination helped nullify the daunting effects that the ominous ambience had on her previously, feeling more prepared to continue her quest. She stepped out into the open, being met with the wide open darkness once again. A few steps later, and a peek around a corner, thump! Slendermane stood right beside Fluttershy. She could not escape. She jumped in her seat and let out a scream much like her first encounter. She tried to turn and run, but somehow her vision was stuck onto the tall creature, slowly fading away into the growling static. Then it happened.
The whole screen flashed white with her eardrums being clawed at by sharp, crashing zaps of static. The blank face flickered rapidly, taking Fluttershy's vision whole like a nightmare come to life. A loud crash sounded from within the cottage. The front door then burst open, with crying with crying yellow sun Pegasus flying out into the sky. She wailed and sobbed with her headphones still attached to her ears, the cord dangling behind her in the air as she flew fast and far away from her computer as possible, leaving Rainbow Dash to gorge herself on the sublime sight of her prank going perfectly planned. Rainbow tried to show some kindness. Well, tried. Following after Fluttershy as far as her front garden before collapsing on her side. It wasn't it was far too much, seeing her timid friend fly off with the headphones still on.
No pony had seen or heard from Fluttershy for the rest of the day. When questioned on her whereabouts, Rainbow half-heartedly explained that she pulled a prank and she probably was mad, wanting to be alone. She did not include details of how severe the traumatic experience must have been for the group of friends' most delicate pony. That night, Rainbow Dash rested in her bed within her cloud home, reading the new Daring Do story. She had lain on her back in the most comfortable position she could shift into, constantly flickering through the pages with a gentle smile perking up at the corners of her lips. I did the exact same thing when I read the Warriors books. Sometimes I do it on the couch though, and I just love it so much. I'm so sad that it ended. I hope Aaron Hunter makes more Warrior books. I'm just make it happen. Crash! Her window suddenly smashed inwards, with a tall, dark figure landing squarely at the foot of her bed. It stared down at her with a blank face, burning with evil in its unmistakable, immobile fashion. Her
I would
scream
have
heard as far as Rarity's boutique.
I would have laughed so hard if when you yelled crash, your computer crashed.
Crash! No! Why? Again! Stupid internet! Like that.
Okay. A white mare with a purple mane hummed thoughtfully, removing her work glasses as she double-checked her messy work area. Sweetie Belle? She sang, calling out to her younger sibling. Yes? A young voice called back in a drawl. I seem to be missing one of my mannequins. Have you seen one around?
Ah ha ha. Wah, 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 wah. Author's note: for the thousandth time, the shipping bits are more of a gag toward their constant shipping. Author's note: I had fun writing this a ton, more of a request from a fellow writer I met in a chat. Was it you?
No.
Okay. I thumbed that one up just for the heck of it. You should thumb it up too.
It's already in my favorites.
Okay, but did you thumb it up? Because if you thumb it up, it'll be 888.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Brilliant! No, that was hilarious. I can't believe Fluttershy would do such a thing. Fluttershy, you're evil, but you're awesome evil.
She for a second she became Flutterbitch again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What were the others? Rainbow Dash Off and Scaredy
Scaredy
and
Pie.
what?
Oh, yeah, Scaredy. What was Pinkie Pie?
Pinkamena Dian Pie.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Except I pronounce it Pinkamena Diana Pie, and no one who says otherwise can make me change my mind. I like Pinkamena Diana Pie better. It sounds more like her.
I don't give a shit as long as I know what you're talking about.
And then Twilight really doesn't have one other than Twilight Flopple. Um,
So that was a thing.
Yeah, that was Fluttershy plays Slendermane. I guess my outro. You don't really have an outro because you really don't read fan fictions, but I'll do my outro because this is my video. I guess.
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay. So, thanks for watching my video. Like, subscribe if you haven't. You should because it's awesome. Go check out my good friends, Brony Fanfics and Doompie, and also go check out Matt the Brawler. He doesn't do readings, but he does do playthroughs. So if you're, looking for playthroughs, go to him. Read his stories; they're pretty good, like really pretty good. And like, subscribe to them. Me, but until then, because it is Christmas, I won't be saying Brony on. I will be saying have a very merry insert holiday here, and have a very nice hearth warming. Goodbye.
Happy holidays, guys.